Welcome, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're going deep on something that can really make or break a clinical trial. And I'm not just talking about the science. I'm talking about the money. Specifically,
Money.
the indirect costs that sometimes fly under the radar.
Yeah.
We've got a fantastic article here from the Global Costing Task Force. They really lay out some crucial points for both the folks sponsoring trials and the sites actually running them.
Yeah.
It's all about
That encourage like
them.
a detective's mindset
A detective's mindset.
when it comes to these costs.
I love that.
Yeah.
A detective's mindset. But why is that so important? Why do we need to be like Sherlock Holmes when we're talking about clinical trial budgets?
Well, when you think about the cost of a clinical trial, it's easy to focus on the obvious stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
the lab tests, the patient visits, the medication itself.
Right. The direct costs.
Yeah,
Those.
those are the direct costs.
Right up front.
But there's a whole other world of expenses that are, well, they're kind of hidden. Those are the indirect costs. Think of it like an iceberg.
Okay,
At the tip of the iceberg. That's your direct costs. That's what you see.
Easy to say.
But below the surface, there's this massive chunk of ice. And that's where your indirect costs are hiding.
Okay, so give me some examples. What are some of those costs lurking beneath the surface?
Oh, there are so many. You've got administrative fees. Think about all the paperwork, the coordination, the regulatory filings.
Right, just to keep the trial running smoothly.
Exactly. Then you have project management overhead, the cost of keeping the whole operation on track. And let's not forget about things like quality control, training staff, even the IT infrastructure needed to manage all the data.
Wow, it really adds up.
It absolutely does.
And the article really stresses that both the sponsors and the sites need to be aware of these indirect costs. Why is that shared understanding so important?
Well, if everyone's not on the same page, it can lead to some serious problems down the road. Imagine a sponsor who thinks a site's administrative costs are way lower than they actually are.
Yeah.
Or a site that doesn't fully grasp the sponsor's expectations for monitoring visits.
Right.
Suddenly you've got budget overruns, disputes, and a whole lot of frustration on both sides.
Yeah, nobody wants that. So what can sponsors and sites do to make sure their finances are in tip-top shape when it comes to these indirect costs?
Okay, so first and foremost, you need a rock-solid track system. You can't manage what you can't measure, right?
Makes sense.
So whether it's specialized software or good old-fashioned spreadsheets, track everything.
Cool.
Link those expenses to specific activities so you can see exactly where the money's going. And time tracking. Oh, that's crucial.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Time is money.
Absolutely. Accurately recording time spent on different tasks helps you allocate those indirect costs fairly. And then, of course, communication is key.
Absolutely, you got to talk to each other.
Actually, sponsors and sites need to be open and honest about their expectations and any potential budget concerns. Regular budget reviews are also essential. And I'm not just talking about making sure the numbers add up, but really analyzing trends.
Yeah.
Are certain departments consistently going over budget? That could signal a need to streamline processes.
So it sounds like a lot of it comes down to being proactive, being organized, and really paying attention to the details.
Exactly. It's that detective's mindset we talked about.
Right back to Sherlock.
It's not just about finding the hidden costs. It's about using that knowledge to make smarter decisions and ultimately ensure the success of the clinical trial.
That is a great point. So listeners, as you're planning your next clinical trial, remember, those indirect costs are out there.
Oh, yeah.
They're real, and they can have a big impact.
Keep those magnifying glasses handy.
Exactly. Think like a detective. Dig deep and make sure you've got a handle on all the costs, both direct and indirect. That'll set you up for a smoother, more successful trial. And that wraps up our deep dive for today, but I want to leave you with something to think about. Now that we've talked about indirect costs in clinical trials, how might you apply this idea to other areas of your work? Are there hidden costs lurking in your projects? What strategies can you use to uncover them and manage them effectively? Food for thought. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.